last piece of this webpage that I want to show you is how to actually take the style and cascade it out throughout an element. So I want to show you that up in this header, we're going to go ahead and have a header two, or heading two, sorry, heading two. Uh, and I'm going to open it and I'm going to go ahead and close it. And I'm going to go ahead and put like created using HTML and CSS. And that's going to assign itself inside the header here. Now, I think this is important for you to be able to know that when you apply something to a whole semantic element, it's going to apply to anything inside of it. So if we go to our CSS here and we want to change the font, we want the font of the header heading 1 and the font of the heading 2 to all change to, let's say, Comic Sans MS. How would we make that happen? So I want you to pause the video here and see if you can make that happen for both. And let me give you a hint. You only have to do it once. Okay, so the H1 and the H2 exist, but they exist inside this header. So normally what we would do in the past is we'd call upon the H1, we'd make it be Comic Sans. We'd call upon the H2, we'd make it be Comic Sans. But since they're both inside the header, can we just make the header have Comic Sans and then both of them will have Comic Sans? That's exactly what we can do, because anything inside of a tag is affected by the stylization of that tag. So if I scroll up and I go to my header here in my CSS and I do like a font family of Comic Sans MS, it will apply to both because they both exist inside of the header. Now, if I go down to my main and I take the words main content and I change those into a heading 1, applying the code before it, and applying the code after it to close it, you will see that will not be a Comic Sans styled heading 1 because we didn't apply the Comic Sans to the heading 1. We applied the Comic Sans to the header. You'll also notice there's something interesting about headings. They create space above them. Notice there's now a space here between main and nav that was not there before. And now there's even a space up here. So headings actually create spaces. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that style, but I wanted to show you that it does in fact not apply to the heading 1s. It applies to the header because that's where we applied it, right? So the last thing I want to do, and I want to challenge you, I'm going to leave it to you to figure out, and you're going to have to fix it in the next assignments. So the question is, how can I get the text of this header, both the H1 and the H2, to be completely centered inside the box? So instead of them sitting off to the left on the left margin over here, so them sitting on the left side of that box, how can I get them to be in the middle of here? So Google, use your resources. You're going to have to do it on your assignments. So see if you can figure it out. And that is your first website layout. Save this, and you're going to have to turn this in. So copy the URL of it right here. You can save it and copy the URL and then paste it into the form so you can turn it in.